Hey everybody, it's Derek and welcome back to CRM Tip of the Day's Video Tips, your source for tips and step-by-step instruction on the latest version of Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So today we're going to take a look at the new CRM app for Outlook, which was made available for preview as part of the spring update for CRM 2015. Because it's only been released in preview at this point, it's not necessarily available for every single type of CRM deployment that you may be looking at or encounter from an application perspective. So first thing that you have to do is you have to be basically running CRM online. So your organization has to have CRM online, and you have to have the Dynamics CRM 2015 update 1 installed on your organization. The other thing is your organization needs to be using Exchange Online for email processing. So it does not work for on-prem versions of Exchange at this point. It's only available for organizations who are using Exchange Online and who have server-side synchronization set up for their email with their Exchange Online account. The other thing is it does have some security settings that do have to be enabled. So there is a new CRM for Office apps privilege that has to be designated for any security role who will be accessing the CRM app through Microsoft Outlook, whether it's through the OWA or whether it's through the Outlook client. They do have to have that privilege enabled for their security role. You also have to have the CRM Outlook preview feature enabled for your organization. So under settings, you do have to go in and enable this feature to allow yourself to go ahead and play with it. And then the final piece is on your actual Exchange Online service, you do have to go in and enable this particular option. So it's an add-in that you have to add on to your Exchange Online service. Once it's been added on and you've decided how it wants to be deployed, users will then have the capabilities to use this app, whether they're using it through their regular Outlook or whether they're using it through OWA or Outlook Web Access. So before we actually can go ahead and consume it by our CRM organization, there's some actual simple configuration that has to be done on your Exchange Online subscription in order to enable the feature. So let's first just switch over to my Exchange portal. So if you basically go into your Office 365 admin portal and you scroll down underneath admin, you'll see your Exchange subscription. When you click on Exchange, it's going to go ahead and load in your administrative screen for Exchange. And so one of the first things that you have to do is actually under the organization section, you have to go physically turn on the add-in for Outlook. So you'll go ahead and click on add-ins. Now, I actually have it already installed on this particular subscription, but from a step-by-step perspective, if you go ahead and click on the new button, and you choose Add from Office Store, this will browse you out to the Office Store, and this is where you can basically go out and find the item that you want to look for. In this case, we'll just type in CRM App for Outlook. Click on it, and then go ahead and hit Add. And then this will add the item into your Exchange add-ins. And so once that's been added, if I go back into add-ins for Exchange, I'll see it in here. And I can, if need be, refresh it and it will show up if it's not already in there. Now by default, it's typically going to be disabled. So you do have to enable the functionality. And so you'll very simply just double click on it to enable the functionality, and it gives you a few different options. You can choose basically to have it be an optional add-in that users can opt in to use but have it enabled by default for the organization. You can choose to have it as an optional add-in that is disabled by default, or you can choose to have it mandatory and not necessarily allow your users to disable it in any situation. In this case, we'll just go ahead and leave it as an optional install, and we'll go ahead and hit save. I now have it configured from an Exchange perspective that I can go ahead now and consume it as part of my CRM subscription. So now I can go into CRM and I can kind of figure the configuration. So now I can go into CRM and I can basically finish the configuration process. So in your CRM organization, the first thing that you want to do is enable the preview feature. So you're going to go ahead and go into your settings and administration, and it's on the preview tab underneath system settings. So if you go into system settings, choose previews, make sure that if you haven't enabled any previews before, that you specify that you have read the license agreement, so opt in for that. Go down to Microsoft CRM app for Outlook preview, click yes, and then click on OK, and that will turn on and enable the functionality for your organization. Now, I'm logged in as an administrator here, so I will already have the necessary privileges to work with the app. However, if you have users and you want to make it available to like your salespeople, business admins, whoever you might be working with, you do have to make a configuration on their security role. And so that's going to basically be done under settings and security. You'll go into your security roles and then pick the security role that you want to use with the preview, or for the users who will be taking advantage of the specific functionality in the application. Go to the Business Management tab. Scroll down underneath the privacy related privileges, and one of the very last ones that you'll see there is the Use CRM for Office Apps. And just make sure that that privilege is enabled, and then go ahead and hit Save and Close. Now you have it ready to go. Now, the other thing that you have to keep in mind too is I already have my organization using server-side synchronization. So from an email configurations perspective, that has already been set up, which is automatically set up if you have CRM Online and Exchange Online. So one of the major advantages to this is you now have the capabilities to use CRM functionality to track emails, not only through the Outlook web client, the Outlook client, which we already had access to, but you also have it through Outlook Web Access, or OWA. And so if I were to switch, for example, over into my Outlook Web Access, here I can see kind of my typical mailbox. And so I have an email that came in from a customer or a person named Paul. And I'll now see a add-in option here that talks about Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And so this is that functionality that we enabled through the add-in. If I click on Dynamics CRM, this is going to open up the email, and this is basically going to connect into my Dynamics CRM organization that I'm working with. And so it's going to give you a couple of different options. Because I have tracking options set up because of server-side synchronization, this email was automatically recognized as Paul, who is somebody that I have as part of my organization and have set up from a CRM perspective. So it's already set up to be tracking that email. Now, if I decided it didn't necessarily should go with Paul's contact record, or maybe it needed to go with a different record in CRM, I could click on change, and this would give me the opportunity to pick, the different account or different item that I would want to track this particular option with. I could hit search. This shows me all of the different accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities, anything that's going to have that particular option in the title. And so now I could basically select that record if I wanted to, and now it would be regarding that record as opposed to regarding the contact record. If I just want to leave it empty and not have this email associated with any record in the application, I could just choose the or track without setting a regarding record. But now this email is tracked within CRM, and if there was any activities that were associated with this, those activities would show up. If I had any cases that were showing up for this particular record, which I don't have at this particular moment for this person, those cases and items would show up in here as well. The other thing that's nice about this is you also have the capabilities if you have phone numbers that are being displayed in here, or if I had entered an email address, I would have the capabilities to just click right on the email address or click on the phone number, and it would then launch Skype and then dial this customer directly from that perspective. So I have the capability to correspond with that customer automatically as I want to, working with the application and working with the item. Maybe I don't have a record already designed in CRM, or maybe I don't have them entered into the database. So for example, I have this email that came in from somebody called John Johnson, and same type of situation. I have the CRM add-in available to me. I can go ahead and click on it. It's going to recognize that I don't necessarily have this person in my application, so it's going to give me the capabilities to create a contact record for them. And it'll pre-populate a lot of that information with kind of baseline items that I have from an application perspective. If I wanted to associate this with a specific account in the application, I could go ahead and find an account. pick the account that I want to associate this person with, and then I can continue to fill in individual information about this person. I click on save and it's going to create this contact record automatically for me and associate it with the appropriate account in the application itself. And then I have the ability to track the email, and then I can specify what specific record I want to track this email with. And in this case, now John is in my system, so I can locate John Johnson. I'll pick on John Johnson, and now it's going to go ahead and track this email for that individual person. And so it gives you just some baseline capabilities to do some basic contact and account management directly within the application, but it also gives you the capabilities to work with these items directly through the application and see what's happening if there's any related items to those records. So from an Outlook Web Access perspective, this is nice because we didn't have this before. Now, we did have the means to track information through Outlook, but by going in and using the CRM app for Outlook, we now also have the capability to use very similar or the same functionality within the Outlook web application, even if we already have the Outlook client installed. So for example, here I have that email that I got from Paul Smith. If I click on CRM, now it's going to do the same thing. It's going to open up the information and I can look at and interact with this record just like if I was interacting with it with CRM. Now I also have the Outlook client installed as well, or the traditional option, so I still have a lot of my same methodologies down here that I can work with to pull in and access information and open up the specific record. So I still have that information in here, but I wouldn't necessarily need to have the information installed because I would just have this simplistic add-on that I could work with. I would still want the Outlook client for, contact and task synchronization, but at least I would be able to track emails without it. Now, the other option that I have in here is I have this flyout, and if I click on this flyout, this is then just going to basically go straight out to my CRM application, open up that record directly within CRM, and then I can make modifications and save that information from here. So this is a real nice alternative to give people a little bit more flexibility. You don't necessarily have to have the Outlook client installed if you don't want to, but you still have the capabilities to do kind of on-the-fly email tracking, create contacts, create regarding account records, and then work with information from there. So I think you'll find that, from an application standpoint, the Outlook preview is a very nice option for you to at least experiment with. I found some neat little uses that I can do with it from an item, and it'll be very interesting to see how it evolves as it's moving forward. But that'll do it for today. Again, this is Derek, and I want to thank you guys very much for watching CRM Tip of the Day's video tips. Have a good one.